Welcome to News Laundry Chhota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. News Laundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a News Laundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of Hafta. Today in the studio I'm just joined with Raman, Kirpal, our managing editor. Hi Raman sir.
Hi.
Joining us on the phone line from Chennai is Jayashree. Hi Jayashree.
Hi.
Joining us also on the phone line but from Delhi is prominent historian, intellectual. Many of you must have read his books, seen his commentary or read him. Irfan Habib. Hello Irfan Sahab.
Hello.
So many of you know who Irfan Sahab is. Those who are new to him, I'll just give you a little intro to him. He is a historian and an author. He was a faculty member of the National Institute of Science, Technology and Development Studies. He's been the Maulana Azad Chair at the National University of Education, Planning and Administration, New Delhi. And he has written many books. He has many works to his name. I think the last one that I remember was Indian Nationalism, The Essential Writings. And there's one after that also, Irfan Sahab, or was that?
Yeah, there is one called Inqilab.
Bhagat Singh. Okay, right.
Yeah.
The one after
that came afterwards. Yeah.
So you can check out his works, and he is an academic and intellectual of our times. And I'm sure he has lots to say about something that has become controversial this week, which never was. Before we go in for the headlines, I just like to make an announcement that Manisha is not with us because she's not feeling very well. She just came and recorded Nuisance and had to go back home. But in spite of her being unwell, she came and recorded Nuisance, which is such a wonderful thing to do because those of you who look forward to Nuisance are not disappointed. So I hope you can also extend the courtesy of subscribing to News Laundry. Go to newslaundry.com and pay to keep news free because thousands like you make sure that our fire keeps burning, and we do have the incentive to come out and work and bring you some great stuff. So do encourage your friends, family, others to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed and paid to keep news free, may I please request you to do so because together we are changing the news model like never before. And Anand Vardhan will not be joining us. He had also some issues to attend to. Hopefully he will be with us next week. On that note, let's get the headlines before we come back to the discussion with Irfan Sahab.
Yeah, so here are the headlines of the week. Dalit Sikh was allegedly killed by Nihangs at the Singhu border. He was accused of desecrating holy Sikh scripture. 4 people have been arrested so far, and the Punjab government has formed a special investigative team. Late on Sunday, a large number of properties belonging to the minority Hindu community in Bangladesh were set on fire. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina condemned the violence, said the culprits should not be spared. The UN also said that the Bangladesh government needs to ensure an impartial inquiry into the incidents. The Supreme Court has pulled up the Uttar Pradesh government for dragging its feet in the investigation into the violence in Lakhimpur Kheri on October 3rd. I think out of a list of 44 eyewitnesses, they said they've only gotten statements from 4 so far. So the court was quite shocked. The death toll in Uttarakhand has risen to 47 due to rain-related incidents. 28 of those deaths were reported from Nainital alone. Similarly, in Kerala, at least 35 people have died so far in landslides and so on triggered by the rains. And the state is set to receive even more rain starting from today.
The videos are really scary, man, from Kerala and Uttar. I mean, the
that house washing away was
and not
shocking.
Just that house washing away. There's one of people standing on top of a house and they're just recording this video and the water keeps rising and rising and you can make out they're panicking, but they can't go anywhere because they're on top of a house because it's getting closer and closer to them. Very scary. And also Naini Lake overflowing. I mean, I've been to Nainital so often, I couldn't believe that was Nainital.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the Narcotics Control Bureau visited Mannat today, which is the home of Shah Rukh Khan. Soon after, the actor went to visit his son Aryan Khan in jail. The NCB also went to Ananya Pandey's residence and summoned her for questioning.
And she said that she was to attend, I think, at 2 o'clock today. We are recording this hafta at 3 p.m. on Thursday, the 21st of October. I think she was expected to attend their question answer today at some point.
Yeah.
By the time this podcast is uploaded, I'm sure you'll get to hear more about this from other sources.
Then another case where a huge quantity of drugs was actually found. The NIA has conducted searches in Delhi. This is in connection with the Mundra Port drug haul case. Members of the YSR Congress allegedly ransacked the headquarters of the Telugu Desam party at Mangalgiri in Guntur. This is after a TDP spokesperson allegedly criticized Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated BJP members who emerged victorious in the recent Tamil Nadu local body polls. He said the party will keep working for the state's betterment.
Yeah, so they had 41 village panchayat presidents and 332 ward members. Out of how many?
There were 27,000 seats up for vote. So for election. So it's like, without that context, it sounds pretty good. Yeah. Like
so clearly, but
300. Yeah.
But for them, it's a big deal.
Yeah, but sadly for the BJP, the one news item that got the most press was that man who stood for election near Coimbatore, and even his family members didn't vote for him.
Yeah, he got one vote. Last week he discussed it. I was like, dude, that must have been.
Former Punjab Chief Minister Amarinder Singh is set to launch his own party, he says. He's also open to seat arrangements with the BJP for the Punjab poll.
Just saying, we discussed on Hafta several weeks ago, and on Hafta, this was a formula that had been speculated, that this is the only formula that could be beneficial for both him and BJP, and clearly that's what has emerged.
And we can elaborate it further also.
Oh, we can?
How they are going to...
Okay, then maybe we'll wait for Raman sir to tell us about that today.
Fuel prices continue to rise for the second straight day today. It's hitting a fresh all-time high following a surge in global crude oil rates. There were angry reactions after a new animated Superman film called Kashmir Disputed. In the video clip that circulated on social media, Superman also apparently destroys military hardware in Kashmir. So people got very angry.
I guess now Hollywood will need new villains. I mean, Russia's done to death by James Bond.
Yeah.
The whole North Korea thing has been done to death by, again, Bond and some of these Marvel type things. Then they went after some, crazed lunatic from, the whole Muslim terror, Islamic terror was during that True Lies, during Ani's time. That was Afghanistan, Rambo Ani.
Now during Gulf War and all, there was a lot of that.
Yeah, so now I guess they are looking somewhere. They can't do China because it's too big a market. In fact, they had to change one Chinese villain, the Marvel, because...
Yes, boycott Fabindia was trending. The clothing brand was forced to pull its ad after its latest campaign sparked a row. This was a festive season collection called Jashn-e-Riwaz.
Jashn-e-Riwaz.
Jashn-e-Riwaz. India is celebrating 1 billion vaccination milestone. Plans include launching an audiovisual film at Red Fort and lighting up monuments.
In fact, this
campaign will run for 5 days.
Some song that is being released, but the way everyone's thanking Modi as if he has gone to...
The posters came in advance. Posters are all over.
I mean, it's so sad to see, when you see someone like Hardeep Puri's Twitter timeline, it's like all these cabinet ministers are basically... when you engage a digital marketing company that now you will praise Abhinandan Sekhri. And that's what this... I mean, I can't... Everything is Modi as if he's come and vaccinated each of us.
Yes.
Anyway.
Donald Trump has announced the launch of his social media platform. It's called Truth Social.
Anyone on it yet?
It must be Donald Trump and his extended family.
I don't know. Coup also,
The trial has begun for a 96-year-old German woman who was a former Nazi secretary in a concentration camp. She's been charged with committing war crimes during World War II. She actually went on the run, but then was caught, and now her trial has started.
A 96-year-old woman went on the run. Just saying. I mean, just the way she
didn't go far, but...
See, both it has been said, as has been said by so many people over the years, that both the languages actually are Indian languages. The only difference is the script. One has Devanagari, another has Arabic Persian script. Now, grammar is same. We have almost common vocabulary, except for some new words from Arabic and Persian into Urdu, and lots of Hindi words and Sanskrit words in Urdu. Similarly, Hindi has accumulation from different languages. Of course, not as much as Urdu has from Arabic and Persian, but the grammar in both the languages is same. One a person knowing Urdu, or as Gandhi used to say, Hindustani, it is very easy for him or her to understand both the languages, Hindi and Urdu. The controversy today is exactly of a very, 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 very communal nature. And it is not just today. It began from 19th century onwards, because before that, there was actually no controversy regarding Urdu at all. And we can go back to the late 19th century when the beginnings of this communalization of language around Urdu begins. And it begins with Sir Syed, who formulated a policy to set up a university with Urdu medium. A proposal he is put forward before the British government. And a group in Banaras led by Bhartindu Harish Chandra and few others questioned Sir Syed that why are you actually proposing this university with an Urdu medium? Because Urdu is not our language. Urdu is a language of Muslims. And this is the beginning. And since then, it was a huge disappointment for Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, because that proposal of a university was supported by a large number of Hindu elite who spoke and wrote in Urdu. There were poets, there were writers, there were intellectuals, cutting across religious divide.
Even now, there are many who still write in the Urdu. Like, for example, Gulzar Saab. When you
My
see,
father used to write in Urdu.
Many,
exactly,
there are many
people in my family. I mean, they're Hindus. Like, of course, Gulzar is a Sikh by birth.
He's a Sikh,
but he actually, because the medium of education at that time when they were young, including from my family's time, it was quite common to have the Urdu script, even as you could be a very devout Hindu or a devout Sikh, but
course,
yet write Urdu.
My father could write only in Urdu and Punjabi. He could never write in Hindi. He didn't know Hindi.
Look at the division of India in 1947. If we come back straight from 19th century, where lots of other things happened during that period, because Urdu as a language during freedom struggle played a huge role. Now, Urdu poetry, Urdu slogans from Inqilab Zindabad to so many others, they were all actually Urdu words and Urdu expressions. And we never felt any constraint in actually using them or communalization of these expressions at all. No, for like Hasrat Mohani was the one who devised this slogan, Inqilab Zindabad, and Bhagat Singh used it all his life. And all other revolutionaries use the slogan. They are used even now in the street demonstrations, at least by the working classes. So this whole association of language with religion is a very, very clearly political agenda.
I mean, I think the reason it blew up is because language politics does exist here. I mean, the idea of Hindi imposition is such a hot button topic that this is why it sort of took off on social media and the way it did. I fully blame Zomato for its handling of the entire thing. I don't think call center employees should have been fired at all. And I do feel extremely sorry for that woman. I'm assuming it's a woman, because not only was she first fired, but then she was reinstated, and then there was entire social media drama surrounding it. But I think it just sort of blew up in the way that it did, because it's something that non-Hindi speakers are so used to having to be on the receiving end of, right? To be told that you should be able to understand a little bit of Hindi, you should be able to communicate a little bit. But I would never fault a call center employee who is a small cog in a huge machine for not following protocol or to answer in a way that was disrespectful. I mean, I would blame the company that you should provide better training, you should provide better services. Yes, you should try and provide employees across linguistic barriers so that people can communicate. But I think it was handled so poorly. And I don't think Goyal's tweet helped. I think it did try to add to a sort of dismissiveness by calling it, I think he called it outrage. I mean, there is a lot of outrage in life about a lot of things, but these are personal issues and causes for some people.
But this Urdu
and it doesn't help that Goyal's now, his old tweets are being pulled up where he's been making he's made jokes about Tamilians, unnecessary, he mocks the accent.
That yum thing. This is something I find strange, that, when we were in school, when we were in class 9, when we were in class 5, 6, when you were 9, 10 years old, there was this joke. I remember the 80s, in 85, 86, how does a Malayali spell what? No, how do you spell Malayalam? What, yet another yem after the yo, or something like that. There was that.
So if he made this joke.
But as an adult, I mean, as a 20, I mean, he was in his 30s when he tweeted. I mean, I can't imagine at my age tweeting that, man. I mean,
I want to go back to history again. Look at the work of Raja Rajagopalachari. He spent all his later life, even after independence, fighting the imposition of Hindi in the South. And he was a congressman. Later on, he became a founder of Swaraj Party. But even when he was in the Congress, he always took a stand. He wrote articles openly. He spoke publicly against imposition of Hindi. And he took a very, very, very serious position. So the point is, he was not against any language. He was against imposition of any language on others, people who don't want it. So he was a congressman. He was a freedom fighter. He was an important political figure. Despite that, he knew that language is important for people, and that importance of language is reflected in the division of in East and West Pakistan. Religion didn't really matter to people in Bangladesh, which was East Bengal previously. For them, language and culture was much more important, though it was the nation was created in the name of religion. And you can go back to history and you can see that people actually have resisted imposition of languages more than actually imposition of religion. People have changed religion several times, not language.
In fact, that's true for Europe also. I'm listening to this fantastic podcast series where this entire linguistic identity became a huge issue,
absolutely.
Pre-Second World War.
19th century, Jamaluddin Afghani was a pan-Islamist. I don't know whether you have heard his name.
No, I
haven't. Very important figure.
Okay.
Very important figure. And he came to India also in 1880s, and he wrote several articles, he delivered lectures, and he spoke that language because he knew that he is speaking in a country which is multilingual, which is multicultural, multi-religious, and you need to unite people in India against the British imperialism. So for that, he undermined the importance of religion and emphasized on language and said, you have to actually, because Urdu was the language in those days of the elite, he said, use Urdu to propagate modernity and modern science. And he didn't bring in religion at all. He spoke for all who spoke Urdu at the time or wrote Urdu or understood Urdu.
So Urdu was for an elite in India, but still the Puritans considered Persian the pure language and Urdu for the masses, right? It was a more...
That was little earlier period. Late 19th century, Urdu starts dominating because Persian, reading Persian speaking people go on reducing because Persian was not so important. It was no more a court language.
Because that's where this muhavra comes from. Haath kangan ko Arsi kya, padhe likhe ko Farsi kya. That
Farsi kya.
Only an educated person would know Farsi, but the rest of you speak Urdu.
Exactly.
Okay, before we move on to the other subject that we will discuss, I had an announcement to make. Many of you know that the YouTube channel of News Laundry was blocked. And it still may be blocked when this goes on. As when we are recording this, it's blocked, but we are hoping that it is unblocked by the time this hafta goes up. That has led to also a drop in subscriptions because I guess a lot of people are nudged to subscription when they see the videos on YouTube. But it is available on Dailymotion, Facebook and other video platforms. So even if by any chance our video is not available on one platform or the other, we will be uploading all shows on Dailymotion, on Facebook, on YouTube. So you can check it out there. Please share it with your friends, circulate it in your groups because we can't have such a drastic dip in viewership. Because while that viewership is not monetized through ads or anything, many people actually get that nudge or that bit of convincing that they need is when Manisha or Atul tell them during Tippani, just like I tell you during Hafta. For many of you it works, for many it doesn't. I wish it worked for more of you, but you'd be surprised what an impact we're having changing the news model, which is why we have cases by Times Group, Sakal Times. It's not a coincidence that it is big media houses that are attacking us.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that there'd be more attacks coming from non-media people other than the occasional survey, quote unquote, and me being questioned for 13 hours by IT officials. Most of the attacks come from legacy media. It is because we are calling out their bullshit. And that we're able to do and sustain for so long is actually an endorsement of what so many of you have been able to do. Thousands of you subscribe and pay to keep news free. So can I please urge you to tell your friends, family, and don't let us see such huge dips because it really demotivates us and our team that can we now afford to go on the ground next month. So if you could just convince your friends, family, and remember to subscribe and renew your subscription. In an environment like this, I would have thought, Bollywood would get together. It clearly hasn't. I mean, I do think that 10 of the top stars together have huge impact. I mean, they could do stuff that is, if 10 nobodies could do what they did at Jantar Mantar, 7 years ago, Arvind and 8 other people. These guys can make a movement happen, but everyone who knows them tells me it won't because they live their life in fear. Now, this kind of fear psychosis, let me go with you, Jayashree. What is your take on it? To what extent is media should be seen as a party that is colluding? Because there's no pushback. The way they're reporting this is also rather tame. Is it the same in the South? Because South superstars are known to take political stances, even if it's a flop show like Kamal Hassan. They dig their heels in. They're not shy. Right from MGR even Anna's two successors, MGR and Stalin's father, what's his name? He was also screenwriter. Karunanidhi, right. What explains that difference of the South stars being so political and the Bollywood stars being completely, they don't want to get involved?
I mean, it was definitely true before, because also the cinema industry in Tamil Nadu is so closely tied to politics, especially Dravidian politics. But I feel I'm not sure I would say the same thing about a lot of film stars now. I know Vijay did quote controversy because he had some scenes in Mirsal, I think, where he took on the government or criticized the ADMK or something like that. But I feel by and large, majority of celebrities are quite spineless. I think they worry more about how their own, how they would be affected rather than trying to speak up for causes or lending their support to causes. I mean, I think the only time they really band together is when it's stuff like one of their own is accused of sexual harassment. And then everybody is like, oh, we're friends, we'll stand by them and all. But in the case of Bollywood, I mean, really, who was surprised that I think Hrithik Roshan wrote an open letter to Aryan Khan.
Yeah.
And so did Suzanne Roshan. But I don't think anybody else really said anything. Our current crusader from Bollywood is, I think, Uday Chopra, because he's tweeting up a storm now. But there's nobody.
I believe Sanjay Dutt and Uday Chopra, Sunil Shetty and Sanjay Dutt, our producer Lipi Vats informs us, have also said something.
There's also this really old photograph that's circulating of like Ajay Devgan, Saif Ali Khan and all coming together and holding up posters after Sanjay Dutt was arrested.
Yeah, we are with you, Sanju.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing that you'd never see now.
Right. And that time also, Sanjay Dutt had been arrested at Tada. That's not a small thing, huh?
And
yeah,
Sanjay
that was a
Dutt,
much bigger case.
The crime was proven against him.
Yeah, there was a gun.
Exactly.
Correct.
And here, this is the scary thing. Like, we're talking about the biggest film star and that he's Muslim. The evidence against his son and stuff, like, he said that he wants to have a blast. I mean, there's no drugs have been recovered. And even under the NDPS Act, there are no provisions to jail him based on WhatsApp chats.
All of you listening in, the Chhota Hafta, do subscribe so you can listen to the entire Hafta. We will see you again next week with the Hafta. Till then, subscribe, pay to keep news free, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Thank you. Goodbye.
All the News Laundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to News Laundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs, and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sun liya Afrika, mufat khoro. Not to brag or anything, but News Laundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free. All News Laundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.